What's up, what's up, what's up? Big Ched's in the house. Here with Big Jonas in the house. How we doing, buddy?
Hey Cheds, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. You know, last night we were just hanging out, and you know, it's like one of those things where it was kind of topping off last night. And I'm gonna try to reference a tweet. I don't know where maybe it went. Reconnection successful. Bad connection. Here we go. Everybody, we're back. Can you hear me? You guys in the chat room, you guys hear me? I just want to say sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. So last night I was hanging out here with Big Jonas, and I said I'm watching this trend line. You can see this is a 1 hour here. And we were just kind of watching to see, and I'm looking for these candle closers. And you could just see it was kind of losing a little bit of strength last night, Big Jonas. You know, we couldn't seem to close above this trend line, and you know, we had a really nice recovery off of the daily bounce. You know, just kind of leading into this, just to kind of get a little bit of a backup perspective. We did have this, you know, I have a trend line here drawn. We did have this really nice bounce here. Obviously, we've talked about this over all our shows. We hit the lower trend line, we recovered. We had those nice 3 white soldiers, but we had this doji here, a little bit of a just kind of a classic doji here, right at the top, which is signifying that potentially the bulls were running out of a little bit of strength. So this is kind of what we were looking at as of last night, you know, as the day was winding down, and before we're sitting there at the end of the night, and it's like this is a no trade zone for us, because we were thinking, you know, we're sitting there at 9, we're like, well, maybe you can go to 9.3, maybe, but it's probably due for a little bit of a pullback, and that was kind of what I was thinking, and what I was feeling, and I'm seeing just real quickly, and I'm gonna be interested to hear your thoughts, Big Jonas, but you know, I woke up this morning, we saw this nice little pullback, and we were seeing this candle form, and about an hour ago, this spinning top here on the bottom, this bullish spinning top formed, but we don't have any kind of follow through yet on it. So we're still waiting for the continued resetting here. And a lot of that in this type of situation, I'm just pulling up Bitcoin here, and we had this really nice move and a little bit of a rejection, but it's kind of for my money, even though we had this nice candle here, which is kind of, it's a nice hammer, you know, but we're not fully reset yet. So this is a little bit too early here. It looks like a little bit of like a no trade zone for me still. You know, want to just give us your feeling of what's going on here in the market, Big Jonas?
Yeah, let's pull up the Bitcoin chart here.
Yeah. And,
you know, we've been watching this one for a while. Just a great bottoming here we had a few days ago, and just a great solid impulse wave there. Kind of all day yesterday, we were asking ourselves, are we kind of put that next leg up? We had such a great run from 7,200 area-ish, kind of topped off, and we kind of topped off a few days ago in the mid-8s, and then we basically were able to pierce through that to the 9s. So we were looking for the consolidation, which we always like to see, kind of a cool down period to let the charts, let the indicators kind of reset and allow the chart to push to that next leg. And then sure enough, overnight, depending upon where you are in the world, we kind of broke down. And we were waiting for this breakdown mostly because a lot of our indicators we follow were just showing we were still way overbought, hadn't had a good natural reset yet. And because of that, you know, a lot of smart traders that follow these indicators basically were kind of wait on the sidelines until we kind of had that correction we were waiting for. Now, this is the beginning, I believe, of a nice reset from our recent run we've had. We were watching the stock and RSI for the past few days, super topped off on the 4 hour, and that was a super bullish move there.
It kept going. And
it kept going, and we're saying, how long can we maintain, you know, this, you could argue, overbought area on the stock until we reset. And we like to use the 4 hour as kind of a great indicator as to where you are in the overall scheme of things. Now what we're seeing is that reset begin to take place in the full hour. Hasn't fully completed yet, and that's why we're seeing this kind of leveling out here. Now, if we can do the 1 hour here and kind of zoom in and get a little tighter shot here. So basically, this is what we're talking about in terms of how we use our Bollinger Band to get us a good sense of where we are, overbought, oversold, or kind of in a just right move. We kind of zoom out just a hair here, and we basically see that as we roll that uptrend from our bottom here, we basically respected the middle Bollinger all the way up. And basically in this run, we were bouncing off the upper Bollinger and using that middle Bollinger as support. We broke it here just a little bit, but pushed right back up, double tested the middle Bollinger and kept riding high. Went a little too heated over here, and basically came back and we tested it. And then when we broke the middle again, when the Bollingers tightened, we again found support on a lower Bollinger and basically tried to test that upper Bollinger again, got rejected again, and then fell pretty hard under the middle Bollinger. And now we're finding that support now, trying to find under the lower Bollinger. We got a little too overheated on the sell side there, and that's what brought us that pretty nice looking green, almost engulfing candle we had in the previous hour, basically showing that we have some solid support in that 84.50 range there. So we like to see that. We like to see a bottoming and a support level which coincides to previous price action in this zone. And we have lots of history in this zone basically there. So what used to be a resistance is now acting as support in the short term.
It's really good. Couple things that jump out to me. Once again, this is Big Cheds. I'm here with Big Chonas. Find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Check me out on the blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com, and subscribe. One thing I saw was this is a bull trap here. We had a little bull trap here because we had this big move. You want to see a move like this one way or another to get people interested, because if everything's just slow and sideways, it's boring. So, Big Chonas, we saw this candle here, and you're waiting, and you're itching to jump in. And you might say, "Oh, it's a hammer," But you don't really ever want to jump in on this candle with this big red volume, this big sell volume. You'd really want to see decrease in volume first. So if you were bold, you'd say, "I'm jumping in here. Okay, this is a stabilizing candle, a little bit less sell volume," and then you get this nice follow-up candle. So here's, you would probably say, as soon as you broke this high, so this candle's high, 87.17. So if I'm watching this live, when we broke 87.17, that was a little bit of a buy signal. Turned out to be a bull trap because you went ahead and had the same thing happen right here. So if we went in, we'd probably see some type of a bear flag, bear pennant, on the 15-minute chart, roughly, right? Like flagpole, flag, and then it breaks. So that's what kind of jumped out to me. The first thing I saw was the bull trap. Another thing I looked at, I'm zooming out, basically what you talked about. So what we're doing right now is we're hitting what I call logical support level, and you touched on that. So what we had this flagpole and a consolidation, the flagpole consolidation. So rather than breaking out again, we're coming back and retesting the top of the previous bull pennant, which is a logical support area, all this consolidation. So you're making a great point. That's kind of what we have to see how it handles it.
Yeah, make no mistake, I do not believe that this is the end of this kind of impulse wave here we had from the bottom. This is a fairly good natural reset here. I'm not looking for this to crater back to 8,000 and then break that on the low. This still has some bullish momentum in it, and because we are respecting these previous price resistance levels that are now becoming support, these are very positive signs. So even though this is a fairly decent pullback here, and we're only talking $500-600 on Bitcoin, not a huge rip pullback. We've seen a lot worse in previous pullbacks here. But this is a very cautious zone here, because basically what you have some slowly declining volume. And that's also another thing we're trying to figure out, is when you see large volume come in, you're like, oh, this is great, the money's flowing in. But is it, or is it just liquidity being so high because demand is actually pretty low? So you have to ask yourself those things. Does increased volume necessarily mean a bullish scenario? Now, if we could just go to the daily here, I want to get bigger sense of kind of where we are and where we might be going here in the near future. So as you suggested a few days ago, we have that kind of indecision, doji kind of spinning top there potentially. And yesterday, or I guess this is today's candle, is pretty nasty. Basically, we gave up a lot of gains from the previous day there. But in no means is this kind of a capitulation area, a fall apart here. I would have liked to have seen a touch of the middle Bollinger on the daily. I think we were kind of trying to reach for that and just got a little overbought. Plus, we had 3 great days of some green candles there, so any kind of pullback is desired if we're going to, try and push that other leg. A lot of talk on the interwebs about that kind of 10,000 zone. Is that something that we'll be able to actually reach? And I actually believe there's a good chance we will be able to do that, but it's going to take several days to play out. You need to have a lot of time in this kind of consolidation area, and I'd love to see us hold in the mid-8s for the next few days, which will basically show a lot of buying support, a lot of conviction that we're okay for right now in this 8 to 8.5 range, and that will allow us to build that stronger base to push us potentially to our next target, 9.5, and that push to the 10K range.
That's excellent. Let's do just a little bit more analysis. We'll scan the chat room, Big Chona, to see if anyone has anything they're asking. Just one thing I want to point out here, an early warning sign you could see last night, and I drew it while we were talking here earlier. So I've marked out, yep, okay. You could have noticed last night there was a bearish divergence here, Big Chonas, on the 4 hour. So what we have here on the candle close, and this candle closed, here's your on-balance volume. We have, so 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 48, 32, 36 hours later. We're closing right here, okay? But we've lost some steam already in the on-balance volume. Okay, so you can see there was already a little bit of some warning here, this bearish divergence, even here. But you'd already, the price, when the price rebounded without a rebound really in the on-balance volume, that was a possible early warning signal. What I'm going to guess is going to happen, first of all, in this type of situation with my trading method. And remember last night we talked about, you made a great trade, Big Chonas. I won't really say exactly what it was on. I think you bought, you bought a rubber band and you sold it for a Lamborghini. It was that type of trade, but. You said, you said we're not going to jump back in until we see a 4 hour bottom, right? We want to see a larger channel, mid to larger channel bottom. So we're here, but we just entered this candle. So I'm thinking we're not going to see a real bottom. I wouldn't be comfortable really personally to see. I'd want to see this lower area tested, this lower area support tested, which is going to be the basically the height of this previous flagpole, as well as a lower Bollinger Band area. So I actually would. Given that we're already seeing a little bit of a rejection, not much follow through from this prior spinning top, I think we're going to see potentially a little bit more floundering sideways down. And what I would want to do for more my style classical entry is I'd want to see it test and hold this lower support area. Real quickly before I hand it back to you, and we talked about this in our show a couple days ago, is when we had these nice 3 candles, these 3 white soldiers, I said it's going to test this upper trend line, but it doesn't mean it's going to do it right away. Because when we went down, and I said it's testing the lower, it went sideways first. So remember we had the three, what is it? Three black crows, the 3 counting crows right here, and then we went sideways first. So we might go see what we do here, Big Jonas. We go up, we go sideways, and then we go up. But as we're going sideways, I'd look to see if this support holds here, right around the 8.1 to 8.3 areas. What I'm looking at, Big Jonas. So do you have something you want to chime in on?
Yeah, you have to ask yourself as a trader, what's going to bring the money in? What kind of price action is going to bring the money in? If we can go back to the 1 hour here just real quickly, you have to ask yourself, what are a lot of these traders that are basically on the sidelines kind of waiting for their moment to pounce? And a lot of that is basically on signals. Have we reset the chart? Do the traders feel that a lot of the selling has dried up? These are the signals that smart traders are waiting for to basically make their entry, and I don't believe we're there right now. There's still a lot of resetting that has to be done. If we basically check out the 4 hour one more time there, although I do like how we have reset from our overbought zones, this could take at least a day or two to basically completely bottom out. I'd love to see some more continued consolidation and maybe another push or two on the down to really basically let these indicators bottom out. And that would be a good buy signal for a lot of traders that now is a good risk versus reward time to potentially enter a trade. But we have to realize that where we are right now with Bitcoin, these are tight trade zones. These are tight stop loss zones. I don't believe we are in this continued bullish momentum uptrend from a longer term pattern here. I believe we're still technically in this bear market from our peak out at around 20,000. And this interim moment here could be a nice bull momentum move. But because of the low volume, it just feels like this is a very risky moment here that you don't want to have too much of a kind of an exuberation feeling that you're into a good price action here and you're going to ride this thing for 10, 20, 30% in the next few days. These are tight zones where I only expect a couple percent moves here or there until we get some more conviction either way.
It's really good. That's really good. It's about waiting for it to come to you. I think that's what it's all about. Just real quick, we'll do a quick Litecoin and Ethereum and Big Chona. So I'll ask you to check out the chat room, and if we can, we'll do a couple chats. But real quick before you do that, what I'm looking at, guys, on this, keep an eye here. I'm looking at a back test, a trend line back test. I tweeted on Twitter about that. Where else do you tweet? Obviously, I tweeted on Twitter, but I tweeted on Twitter about a Litecoin has a support back test coming up. So this is on a 1 hour. Let's go ahead and pull up the exact one I have just to show you what I'm talking about. So last night, when we were kind of watching it, trying to see what was going on right here. So this is before this move. And close, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you had 5 closes where it was rejected. And when you broke it, this is your buy signal. So now in a retrace, you're watching for what's called a back test of Big Chona. So when you break a trend line, you know how you rightly pointed out before, when you break resistance, it becomes support? So when we broke this trend line, right, that was resistance, it became support. Isn't that right, Big Chonas?
Correct. You want to see basically a retest of the back line, which confirms to the market that that's kind of where we are right now. I love seeing a back test because that gives me more confidence in my trade that, yes, this is basically, for the moment, for the short term, a conviction bottom, and that we have a better chance to move up. The back test also basically shows you that you can kind of shake out a lot of the quick flippers, and that's a good way to basically do that and confirm that we could be in a bullish uptrend, even though we give some of that recent move back. And right now, even with this pullback, we are still in a bullish uptrend in this immediate price action we're seeing here. I just want to say real quick on the chats here, I love this action here. We get a lot of debate talking about everything from some of the FUD out there on Binance to the death cross that seems to be on everybody's minds right now. Lots of great requests here on some charts. We'll definitely want to talk about some of these alts that people have been watching over the past few days. Lots of great price action here. What do you say, Chad? Think we want to head into it?
Let's do it. Just real quick, we promised some Ethereum. See if there's any difference. Yeah, I mean, so just quickly, just because I know a lot of people are also into Ethereum. 4 hour, you got to wait for this to reset, basically. Obviously we're seeing some weakness with the unbalanced volume. We had this nice spinning top, but we don't have the follow through just yet. So Ethereum's in the same boat as Litecoin, and Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and Big Chonas. Let's take a look at the chat room. Where do we want to start with? We'll bang out some requests here because I know people have some altcoins they want to get a good sense on.
Yeah, we have a lot of alt requests. Let's go over a couple that I know we've been talking about over the past few days. Let's start with XLM. Our old friend Stellar Lumens here. Have a few requests there from our friend Rob Mass and Ulsman Khan. Great to see you guys here on the chat.
So, I mean, just on its face, we'll try to do these quick to give everyone just a sense. I'm going to go 4 hours. So we had a drawn out pullback here. And we have a nice hammer after a dip below the Bollinger, and it's trying to bottom, but there's no confirmation yet. So if you're bold and you want to jump in, it's an okay place to start here because we are testing prior support, Big Chonas, this prior peak, the peak of this flagpole. We did test the Bollinger. So, I mean, you could go ahead. I'd want to look at the 1 hour and see where we're at. The only concern I have here, so on the 4 hour, it looks maybe like we're bottoming, but when I go ahead and, you see what I'm saying? When I go ahead and look at the 1 hour, what I'm seeing is we had a nice rebound, then we have almost like a gravestone doji here, which is signaling the end of that bull run. So we have to see what kind of follow-up we have here. Now, this candle starting, we're 10 minutes in. I'd say if we can break this high of this candle with this one, maybe, but there's definitely some caution in my mind that bounce might be stalling. So I'd really want to wait on this. What do you see?
Yeah, with the alts, we always want to ask ourselves, is there divergence here from the price of Bitcoin, or is it just kind of following lockstep with whatever happening with Bitcoin? So it had a very similar bottom that Bitcoin had a few days ago and rose accordingly. Had your massive kind of shooting star there with the top off, which was a great signal that says right now the buyers have stopped and this one needs to reset. This one's definitely still in play. It was kind of a healthy pullback here. Once we broke that lower Bollinger, the bull stepped in, showing it was too oversold. And now we're just kind of in this waiting period here to see if we can put in another leg. If you're a trader and you basically did not get sucked into the bull trap when it broke 3,000 Satoshi, congratulations. And waiting for maybe a more, safer entry point there. But again, Stellar is one of those alts that had a parabolic move and is still trying to find, that potential bottom here. I love we had basically a double wick rejection to the down, which showed you had a lot of buyer support in that kind of mid-20s, 500 Satoshi range. But one little thing here on the daily I want to point out is that, even though the stocking did reset there, we might be turning over again there to a slightly bearish sentiment. I would have liked to have seen us kind of go topped off on the daily there, and we might still do that.
Middle Bollinger rejection too. We get the middle Bollinger rejecting the price 3 times in the daily here. That's something we have to watch for. If we're looking for a confirmed reversal, we're going to need to see now that we have 3 points of rejection, big Jonas, on this middle Bollinger Band, folks. We have 1, 2, and 3. Where's the fancy arrows? It's one of these, isn't it? Is this one? One of these buttons where you can. There's some cool. I'm learning TradeView, guys, so bear with me. Is it T? No, well, whatever. It doesn't matter too much, folks. We're just kind of playing around here. Here we go. So if I want to be like one of these pros, I go 1, 2, 3. 3 times you rejected basically at the middle Bollinger. It's a little sloppy, but it's okay. You guys get the gist of it. So that's what we're keeping an eye on. Let's go to the chat room. Big Jonas, let's keep the party rolling. Let's keep passing it around. What's next?
Okay, Anthony Rendazzo, you win. Let's do ENG. ENG. Let's take a look at ENG.
Okay. And we'll do. I think we should do EOS. There's some action in that earlier, and we want to save a little bit in case we do a show tonight. We want to save something, save something for the wedding night, so to speak. Yeah. Well, we got ENG here in the daily. We're gonna quickly take a look at the 4-hour. We're going to keep rolling here. So 4-hour, we're showing some nice strength, actually. This is the most recently completed candle, Big Jonas, where we saw a pullback and a real nice move. It's almost like 3 strikes, where we kind of gained back all of this move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is almost like a rising 3 methods. So this is kind of impressive, where we have the move, consolidation, and you're gaining it back, and meanwhile you cooled off. So this actually kind of looked pretty good in the 4-hour. You don't know how much room's left to run, because obviously you do have the upper Bollinger here, and you do have this upper wick prior rejection area to kind of watch. But it does kind of look interesting here. There's some nice volume already, Big Jonas, in this candle here. An hour in, we're seeing some substantial volume. If we zoom in a little closer in the 1 hour, just to kind of verify that, we have a nice little move going on here. So we're going to kind of have to watch it. It's hot in the 1 hour, but it could keep going. But, critical area here it has to deal with. What are you seeing?
Yeah, the thing you want to really have an eye for on these alts is money flow, because a lot of these alts have, that kind of pump and dump mentality. Because there's low volume, it wouldn't take a lot of money flow to really prop these guys up. So what I like to see is kind of the continuation of money flow, and this one definitely has some upward movement. Let's zoom out to the 4-hour here, just get a little bit of a broader sense here. And can we just unclick the log there, if you can, just to get a little better sense there, and zoom out just a little bit more there. Okay, so basically we have a capitulation bottom there a few days ago, and we're really trying to push up. One thing that really stood out to me again, I mentioned, is the volume is really looking nice here. There's some buyers, there's some money in the market here. So this is one of those alts that if you're playing it, I wouldn't be scared right now that I'd be stuck in it based on a low volume situation. But we are a little overbought here. That's why you kind of have that indecisive kind of shooting star potentially forming right now. And you notice a few hours ago when we basically broke out of the upper Bollinger there, way out of that thing there, that was your signal to take profit if you were able to get out early, because that was way overbought. And I like the fact that it's still currently respecting the middle Bollinger now. Let's kind of see how that plays out. I'd like to see a continuation of respecting the middle Bollinger as we keep rising here, but this is definitely one to keep an eye on.
All right, I'm going to do real quickly EOS, because I woke up and then I had a big move. So we're actually in the midst of a big move here. And this looks like Big Jonas a continuation move. And the reason why I'm suggesting that is what we have here is we have a kind of a big increase in price with a nice consolidation to re-breakout. So we have kind of a classic bull pennant here. What I'm noticing is the OBV's topped off again. So this is actually suggestive of potentially a new leg. Do you agree? I mean, just on a quick glance here, we actually have a hammer here. We have a hammer here. We have on a stochastic reset with strong. This is going to make a new leg. I think we're going to test 80,000 here again. That's just my quick look. What do you see?
Yeah, loving the money flow here, loving the price action. The Bollingers do suggest we're basically riding high here on the upper Bollinger. Haven't really had a chance to test the middle Bollinger since our initial breakout there, and we still keep putting in these bullish flag pennants here. I think we are almost putting in another bullish flag pennant. The 4 hour hasn't reset tremendously, but I do like the fact that it kind of did have a chance to kind of cool off a little bit there and kind of try and have a chance to make that next move there. Let's check the daily out real fast. Just get a broader sense of where we are, where we might be going. So this is a great idea here. So what you're seeing on the daily is you're seeing a tremendous price action here. And we're getting into that overbought zone. We could see how oversold we've been for such a long time and how oversold our stock in RSY was until this recent move. And then we just shot up like a rocket there. I'm not particularly fond of the OBV there. I think almost what you're seeing here is a lot of day trade flipping going on and not basically a lot of people that are holding this for very long.
But that's macro. But that's macro, and that was during the downtrend. I mean, but what we're seeing with the OBV now is look at this big Jonas. I mean, the OBV was terrible until we bottomed here in the 4 hour. We're seeing there like a big time spike. The only word of caution is if you want to look historically at the upper Bollinger play. Here, look, big Jonas. Upper Bollinger, pull back. Upper Bollinger, pull back. Upper Bollinger, pull back. However, it depends on what phase we're in. Are we in a mark up or a mark down? If we're in a mark up phase, if we're in an upwards phase, you did have upper Bollinger here, pull back, but then a higher high. You made a higher high here. So if it's part of a downtrend, then the upper Bollinger means you're going to go lower. But so we could continue here, but really I'm telling you right now, my quick look at the 4 hour, this is what my gut is. This is your active channel right now is your 4 hour. That's where the volume is. You've got a bull pennant break. You've got a bull pennant nearing break, in my opinion. This on-balance volume, you've already reset. In my opinion, we're gonna see this right back here at 79 to 80 in the next couple hours. What's the next one? Let's jump over to the chat room real quick. Big C.
G-chips, I don't know. There's so many to pick for here. Let's take a peek at Vibe. Shout out to World UFO.
Okay, and this is Big Cheds. I'm here with Big Jonas. Big Jonas will be on Twitter at some point. I think he's still learning how to use a fax machine. Vibe is looking okay. I mean, Vibe's trying to bottom here. We saw this similar kind of a bull trap here, Big Jonas. Saw a similar bull trap here. You know, with the candles, I'm still seeing weakness. This is arguably an inverted hammer here near the lower Bollinger, but the volume is so weak, we're not getting a clear signal. So, you know, the strength of any signal is compared to its volume. There's no volume, so this is like a who knows. You know, this could very easily break support and go back to 2000. I mean, there's no reason. There's nothing strong about this because there's no volume. So it's like a who knows, right?
Yeah, even though a lot of the indicators are showing that the chart has reset here, that we're kind of in like a better zone for potentially an entry here. You're right, the volume is scary there. That's one of those things you have to keep an eye on. When the volume dies on a bunch of these alts here, so does the price action. So even though I do like the fact that the 4 hour has reset here, and we definitely had a really good explosive run, if that volume doesn't kind of come back here, then this one basically still could have a lot of downward pressure. And that's what you have to ask yourself on a lot of these alts here. You know, are you just playing them for a quick flip, or do you feel these are actually bottoms that are happening right now? And a lot of these will be determined based on the price action of Bitcoin in the long run.
All right, excellent. Let's get a couple more. And what do you think? Okay, let's get a couple more here. Let's make sure that people get a good feeling of what are we looking at here, buddy.
All right, we got a few requests here. Richie Abiskul, shout out to you, and Gil Calzin got a few requests for ICX. Abraham Thomas also wants to see that. Great to see you guys there. Thomas Dennison, ICX as well. So let's pull up some ICX.
Okay, let's pull up ICX here. All right. I always think of ICE. Yeah, 4 hour doesn't look good on ICX. 4 hour doesn't look good here. You know, we topped off. We hit the upper Bollinger. We're still pulling back. We're still seeing weakness in the candles here with the upper shadow here. I don't really see anything that's going to tell me I want to jump in the 4 hour. If I'm holding, then you could argue that we are potentially right at this upper support area of this prior the top of this prior pattern. So you know that's the question, is if we're kind of this right here, roughly speaking, right? So it's like you can argue, are we whatever that you draw this line up, this back test, you're hoping to hold this prior area of support, right? And it's a little sloppy. You're looking at me like I have three noses, which I do. The point I was trying to make is if you're a bull and you're still holding from the top, you're trying to figure out, why am I still holding it? You're thinking maybe it's going to hold this area because there's some support here. But it could very easily not hold it, because the 4 hour usually overrules the 1 hour. Is that kind of your experience?
Yeah, the 4 hours kind of basically tell you if this is a trend issue here or if this is just a quick pop here. And what we're seeing in the 4 hour is that we've been topped off on the upper Bollinger here for quite some time, which is great because that's bullish action there. That's money flow. Those are things you want to see. But we're seeing some strong rejection candles on the past several 4 hours, almost a tweezer top there that kind of confirm that the bulls are running out of steam, and a bearish engulfing on a couple 4 hours ago. What I'm looking for now is let's retest that middle Bollinger. I'd love to see some support found, probably somewhere in the 3,400 Satoshi range by the time we get there. The 4 hour has started to correct, which is good, but it does have a long way to come down. And then you have to keep an eye on the volume there. Was this just a nice kind of pump up here? Has all the easy money in this one have already been made? Are we going to reset, potentially do another impulse wave? If you're in it, this might have some, continued pullback here, but there's a lot of better opportunities in this one to take a better entry when we basically have kind of pulled back and reset this one on the chart.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this this prior peak. I've been waiting for 3,300. If I was really being conservative, I want to see middle Bollinger and this 3,300 area here. What do you got, Big Chunks? Who's next?
I just want to do a little side caveat here. We have a lot of people asking us what our opinions are on the death cross. Wesley Stark, great to see you here in the chat. We our own selves have having this debate about the death cross, what that means. Does the death cross, the Death Star, are these kind of additional FUD terminology that just kind of show up in the market? We've been watching our main man Phil talk about it, and basically where it's hit in the previous death cross to the golden cross, and basically how one could represent a bullish market and one could represent a severe bear market. And I do believe that there is some basically negative pressure on Bitcoin in general because of that potential looming death cross. I think a lot of people are basically a little hesitant right now and looking at this as more of a short-term trade situation, because the death cross, if such a thing is, looks like we're only days away from that actually happening. So I think over the next few days, as we get closer and closer to that moment, a lot of the price action here is we're going to see how that is determinant. It also could be a very good buying opportunity. A lot of times this kind of FUD creates good entry points. So we're going to see how this plays out. I love the debate about this because this is kind of one of those things where, there's history that could go either way on this one. Why do you just use the 200 and the 50 for that cross? Because other crosses, other moving averages can basically show different crossovers, and does that actually mean everything there? So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out over the next few days, but this is going to happen over the next few days when these two indicators cross up. We'll see how it goes from there.
I think death cross is a joke. I don't think there's anything serious about it. I think death cross, in my opinion, golden cross, is just lazy technical analysis. I think it's something where, everybody wants to know, give me an easy answer. And it's like, if you're someone who wants an easy answer, is it going up or is it going down? Do I buy or do I sell? I mean, there you go. You can have your death cross. You can go hug your pillow and go crawl in the corner as a death cross. It's total garbage. I mean, look, anything anybody says, I don't care, until we either break the upper or lower trend line. Everything else is a joke. It's just a waste of oxygen. Okay, death cross is nothing. If you want to know, you go when you back test. You back test over the prior years. Anytime there's been a quote-unquote death cross or golden cross, has it done anything? Most of the time, really, it means nothing. It's a lagging indicator, and It's like thanks for telling me what the weather was 2 weeks ago. Death cross, like great. It doesn't do anything for me. First of all, we may not even death cross because if we go sideways here, the moving averages are going to flatten out. Okay, a classic death cross, it's a 50 to 200. Okay, same with the golden cross. Okay, if you want to be a Fibonacci trader, 55. All right, cool, fine. Death cross is a joke, and if you want to ask me, it's lazy TA. It means nothing. What matters is position and channel, and we're range bound. I say this every time. Upper trend line, lower trend line. Until these trend lines are violated with a close above or below, that's what matters. That's your signal, not a death cross. Oh, it hits a death cross, so I'm out. You know what? Fine, just be out. Go do some karaoke and drink some alcohol-free beer or whatever. I mean, it's a joke. So for me, my opinion is death cross means nothing personally. So what's next, Big Jonas?
Just one more comment on that. These areas of FUD, these kind of moments where, oh, this is happening, so here we go one way or the other. These are great buying opportunities, though. Let's say the death cross does happen in the next few days and it causes, let's just hypothetically say, a pretty decent sell-off. Is that your next great buying opportunity where an overextended sell-off can basically put you in an overextended range where we are in a good risk versus reward ratio to put that next trade in?
Yeah, but none of that matters. What are your metrics? It's this trend line. I don't care if it's a death cross. I don't care if it's a golden cross. I don't care if it's a crisscross applesauce. Like, what matters is, does this bottom trend line hold? If the bottom trend line holds on the daily close, we're still in this pattern. So it's not like a death cross will cause something. The death cross, it's like, do we hold this line or not? I don't want to hear about anything else until we either buy. I got some guy messaged my DM on Twitter, Big Jonas, and he's like, I got two major TA guys talking about 2K, 2,000 in Bitcoin. I'm really worried. I'm like, bro, block them. Anybody who's talking about 2,000, 4,000, to even talk about that until we deal with this lower trend line. That's what's right in front of you. You have to deal with what's in front of you. Let's do a quest, and then I know you and I have a date at the strip club. So what's next here? What are you seeing in the chat room?
All right, Chad's got a couple requests here. Maddie Smith, awesome to see you back here on the chat. Let's look at ADA, otherwise known as Cardano. This one basically had some movement over the past couple days here. It's one of those, from a market cap perspective, it's one of those, top 10 coins that's basically been up there for quite a while there. And we saw it bottom out a few days ago, similar to Bitcoin. Great impulse wave up. I like to see a lot of the buying action there. And look at that. We reset very nicely on the 4-hour there. We have some good rejection wicks on the down, showing that the bears kind of tired out and the bulls are taking over again. And also on the 1-hour there, this is another example when we're below the lower Bollinger, that's an oversold signal. It's a good potential entry there. And you see, if you had laddered your buys going down there, maybe you might have been a little too early on the first break. And these were some pretty nasty breaks, way oversold. But now it feels like we actually did find that oversold bottom, and now we have a chance to move up.
Yeah, and I think what's different here is we're actually seeing some follow through. So we had some similar bull trap scenarios. We had a similar type of almost like a double bottom here. The difference on ADA, it looks like we're not overbought yet. Big Jonas, remember in these other ones where we saw 4-hour look good, but like 1 hour was hot? This ADA 1 hour is telling us there's still a little bit of room to run, and we're seeing some actual follow through. So this one looks better than some of these other ones. We looked at previously. Let's do one, maybe two more, and then we'll go.
All right, guys, got a bunch of requests here. Thornwraith, Frankie KKKK, and Jasmine. Great to see you guys. Looking a little TRX action, so let's pull up some TRX.
Let's do TRX, and then we're going to let you guys go because maybe we might want to do a show tonight. And I know you guys love the show. Let's talk crypto. This is just a quick informal update to give you guys a feeling of where we're at. I know this is a worldwide broadcast. Some of you guys are in Dublin, and some of you are in Maui, where I wish I was right now, or wherever you are. I want to make sure you guys all get a chance to watch. So TRX, we're going to look real quick at the 4-hour, Big Jonas. And what we're seeing is still some weakness. We had a kind of an indecision doji. We had a long-legged doji here. Attempting to hold our middle Bollinger. We're still resetting on the 4-hour. This could hold here, but I'm just going to go ahead and guess it doesn't. I'm going to guess we're going to go back to 380 just because I'm a little bit of a skeptic. I think we're going to break support here, probably test this lower area, maybe bring this Bollinger up, and you'd be looking for a value entry around 375, 380. What do you see?
Yeah, I agree with that analysis, Cheds. I think the cool-off period is kind of, it's getting there. I do like the fact the 4-hour has reset, and the volume, though light, has been pretty consistent. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of bounce around this area here to try and see if this is a permanent bottom here. Is the market telling us, okay, we're ready for our next leg up? Great impulse wave when we pierce the upper Bollinger there.
But looks like the cat tripped the connection. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get back in the mouse wheel here and try to reboot everything, guys. So just kind of hang in there for a second. I think we are getting back and we're getting to be connected. We did have a little bit of a technical difficulty. I said something wrong and Big Jonas threw me in the ground. I pulled out the internet. So I do apologize, guys. And we're trying to pull up a TRX daily here to wrap up the show. And it's not quite working, so that's okay. So I don't know if you guys are hearing me or not, but we had a real nice quick update. We just wanted to give you guys a feeling of what's going on. There's a lot of voices out there. There are a lot of people telling you one thing, it's doing this, it's doing that, but it's nice to know, who you can trust. But really, you want to know who you can trust. You trust yourself, so you got to kind of come up with your own method, and you find a system that works for you. And I know what system works for me. That's what I'm focusing on. We try to share that with you, and we appreciate you guys coming in. We're gonna try to do a show tonight, another Let's Talk Crypto.